on the left hand top.
Good evening, everybody. Hari Om. Welcome to the next session of Kindle Life. As usual, let us begin our session with prayers. Let's join hands.
समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो हरि ओम to all. Emotions can be a virtue, but emotionalism can spoil one's balance in life. Sentiments dawn a human being, but sentimentalism is a scar on one's personality. We have been speaking of personalities, the variety levels, and the multiple personalities that we are, and we will go ahead studying about it more. Actually,
Earlier in chapter 5, the dual path, we saw these following points. That upon following the self-restraint and discipline prescribed by our scriptures, man develops a healthy and dynamic personality. The two paths of Shreyas and Preyas confront man constantly. All men of discrimination and determination choose the right path of good, and that leads to peace and happiness. The imports of chapter 6 were harmony and existence. If we are asked, what is life? The answer would be, it is a series of continuous experiences. Good experiences constitute a good life, and unpleasant experiences constitute an unhappy life. If experience is the building block of our life, then we should know what it is made up of. Three things: the experience, the object of experience, and the relationship between the object and the experience called experiencing. The subject here is the experiencer, and he is made up of 4 distinct layers of personality. That is, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. Now, each of these have their own value system and demands. When the 4 personalities are not integrated, they will pull each other in different directions. We have seen this yesterday with that example of a sweetmeat. This individual then, who is pulled in different directions by his various personalities, faces stress and strain. This confusion creates despair, and this is called samsara. Scriptures show us how to integrate these conflicting personalities, but it is our own effort that will help us to achieve this goal. Let us begin today by reading the chapter 7 once more that we have already begun. Personality rehabilitation. In every experience in life, man contacts the world through the media of four constituent entities in him. They are his body, mind, intellect, and consciousness, which is the spark in him. Of these, the mind and intellect equipment is the actual experience that enjoys or suffers the object in which it comes in contact. When this equipment is perfectly tuned up, man experiences a harmony and rhythm in life. But when it lies neglected and fallen into disuse, there arises discord and harshness. The physical body is the grossest aspect of the human personality, which contains the 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action. The size and shape of the body differ from individual to individual, but the essential material composing it and the functions of the organs are common to all. Again, the subtlest aspect, namely the consciousness, which is the core of man's composite personality, is one and same in all human beings. The religious thinkers, after having scientifically discovered that these two aspects are common to mankind, proved by logical analysis and deductions that the variable factor in man is the mind and intellect equipment. The kaleidoscope pattern of experience is therefore attributed to the difference in texture and quality of the mind and intellect. The mind is the seat of all emotions and feelings, whereas the intellect is the discriminating faculty, the discerning factor, the judging ability, whereby man distinguishes the good from the bad, the right from the wrong, and the real from the unreal. The functions of the mind and intellect are fundamentally divergent and opposed to each other. For example, when a person is overwhelmed with emotions, his faculty of discrimination is lost. And when acute discrimination prevails, there is no room for his sentiments and feelings. It is the subtle equipment which is utilized by us in our day-to-day experiences in life. In fact, when one meets and deals with another, it is only the mind and intellect of one which comes in contact with the mind and intellect of the other. When the quality and texture of the mind and intellect undergo any change in either of them, they are no longer interested in meeting each other. The actual experiencer in us, therefore, is the indwelling mind and intellect. The body serves only as a garb worn by it. Consider, for instance, an individual visiting a friend's house. He does so only to contact the resident in the house, and his interest in the visit is lost when the latter is not there. Similarly, our physical bodies are mere hutments in which the subtler personality dwells, and all our contacts and experience are transacted in the subtler realm. In the world today, this important aspect of the human personality lies neglected and putrefied. It is no fault of man, since he knows not the state of his own inner personality. Religion holds a mirror up to a man's real nature within and provides him with the ways and means for chastening his emotions and edifying his thoughts, thereby enabling him to live a more dynamic and cheerful life. The mind and intellect of a man, like the yolk and white of an egg, need to be carefully tended and nurtured in the warmth of Mother Shruti, the scriptures, in order that they may develop and usher him into a freer and ampler existence. But when they are neglected, his personality degenerates and creates disturbances and chaos for himself and the society. It is therefore necessary for us to put forth our efforts in the direction indicated by the scriptures to enable us to grow inwardly and help in bringing about a progressive and healthy society.
Mind-blowing thoughts. These are mind-blowing thoughts.
It is really so incredibly constructed and put by Gurudev to explain to us what a personality consists of. In chapter 7, there are a few words which I thought we could just see what they mean really. The first is rehabilitation, which means restoring. And composite means made up of several parts which come together. Just like our personality we have seen now. It is made up of different aspects. The body, the mind, the intellect, and the consciousness, which is the main factor of a human being. But we have also seen now that the body and the consciousness are not actually directly involved while experiencing something. The experiences which actually dictates the quality of our life is done by our mind and intellect. So when the mind and intellect is connected with the mind and intellect of the another, that is the time they join or they come together. This is the relationship of experiencing. To keep in mind, in chapter 7, the mind is the seat of all emotions and feelings, whereas the intellect is the discriminating factor. What the mind absorbs, it reacts to emotionally, but it is the intellect which tells us the difference between the good and the bad, and the right and the wrong, and what is seen and unseen, or what is real and unreal. The actual experiencer in us, therefore, is the indwelling mind and intellect, which is called the subtle intellect. The subtle equipment. And the body serves only as a garb worn by it. Such a beautiful explanation of who we are. This particular point I felt that we can ponder upon was when they, that is the subtle personality, are neglected, his personality degenerates and creates disturbances and chaos for himself and the society. If we look around us today, we will see this example very clearly, that people whose mind and intellect are not properly developed or taken ahead by the guiding factor of the scriptures, it tends to degenerate, and this degeneration causes chaos and unhappiness in general, not in our lives, but in the society and largely even in the whole of the country. So this was the import of chapter 7. Let us continue with chapter 8. Yesterday, I had a little bit of problem with my throat, and I don't want it to continue, so I would request Jagdish to read the chapter 8 for us.
Mind and man. The human personality is determined and defined by the quality and texture of one's mind and intellect. Religion helps to bring about a revolution in the individual's personality by chastening the mind and educating the intellect. By bringing about this change, man improves the state of his mind and develops subtler discriminations, thereby enabling him to enjoy a happier and more harmonious relationship with the ever-changing phenomenon of the external world of being and happiness. Since man's personality diverges its essence from, since man's personality derives its essence from the structure of his mind and intellect, all schemes and plans envisaged by religion for personality rehabilitations are meant to promote development and perfection of this subtle equipment in him. Before attempting to rehabilitate us, therefore, it becomes primarily necessary for us to study and understand the nature, location, and functions of the inner equipment in the human system. The mind is the seat of impulses and feelings, and it is common to all living creatures. Animals also possess a mind. When they come in contact with the world, impulses or feelings are generated in their minds, and these are straightaway manifested in their respective actions. Thus, when you pull a dog by its tail, it gets a feeling of anger, which it expresses by barking at you. A dog does not have the capacity to judge and determine the intention and motive behind your action. It acts merely in the impulse received by his mind. Man alone, being the roof and the crown of creation, has the capacity to discriminate and analyze his feelings. And as when they arise and allow his actions to be guided and directed by his power of discrimination instead of being driven and carried away by momentary impulses and feelings. This faculty of discrimination, the power of judgment, this capacity to discern what is right and what is wrong, what is to be done and what is not to be done, is the function of the intellect. The dignity and culture of mankind lie in the exercise of this faculty. When this wondrous equipment is left neglected, man is bound to deteriorate to a status of an animal and suffer the consequences thereof.
Thanks, Jagdish.
You'll take off?
Okay. In our day-to-day experiences in the civilized and modern society, most of our actions seem to emanate from the realm of the mind, and we are misled by feelings instead of being guided by discrimination. We do things simply because we feel like doing it. The intellect is generally divorced from the mind. There is therefore no discrimination and considered choice in the actions. Such actions, depending upon the whims and fancies of our feeling, are detrimental and dangerous to our welfare and prosperity. Religion helps us to keep the intellect alert and apply its faculty of discrimination to the choice of right action at every moment of our life. Being guided by proper discrimination, such actions are dynamic and productive, and they bring about peace and cheer in society. The mind is like a receiving clerk in an office. Though the clerk receives the mail, he does not take action on them, but puts them up to the officer in charge for his direction and advice for disposal. But if the clerk chooses to take action directly without consulting the officer, there is bound to be confusion and chaos in that organization. This, in short, is the sad state of affairs about the human system of modern age. Our minds receive impulses from the external world, and we respond directly without the guidance or control of the intellect, which is the officer in charge within our body politic. Consequently, there is confusion and chaos within, leading naturally to dissatisfaction and discontentment in life. The mind is defined as a flow of thoughts, just as a river is the flow of water. The banks of the river guide and direct its flow, and when the banks are not firm, the water runs amok. So too, when the intellect of man is not firm and determined, the mind functions as it wants, and man is tossed hither and thither by the vicissitudes of his environment and circumstances. To keep the intellect firm and determined, and to be constantly guided by the dictates of such an intellect, is the training imparted by the religion. The secret of success behind all men of achievement lies in the faculty of applying their intellect in all their activities without being misled by any surging emotions or feelings. Religion offers the technique of development of this faculty and leaves the choice to man to make or mar himself and his progress.
Beautiful.
Absolutely incredible.
Incredible. Incredible.
Let us see in chapter 8 some of the word meanings. Chastening, this we have already seen earlier. Humbling or to keep in check. Here it is talking about the mind. To discern means to recognize. Detrimental means tending to cause harm. Vicissitude means unwelcome or unpleasant change. Some of the very important things in this chapter to keep in mind is it becomes primarily necessary for us to study and understand the nature, location, and functions of the inner equipment in the human system.
So important.
There are a few, actually the whole chapter is so beautiful that we should read it again and think about it. But even this particular point to ponder. Man alone being the roof of crown of creation. Why is man called this the crown of creation? A very important paragraph. If we are aligned, the paragraph is paragraph number 5. It begins with in our day-to-day experiences. In the civilized, and I will read this bit once again. Please bear with me. Chapter number, this is chapter number 8, paragraph 5. In our day-to-day experiences in the civilized and modern society, most of our actions seem to emanate from the realm of the mind, and we are misled by feelings instead of being guided by discrimination. We do a thing simply because we feel like doing it. the intellect is generally divorced from the mind. Therefore, there is no discrimination and considered choice in the actions. Such actions depend upon the whims and fancies of our feelings, are detrimental and dangerous to our welfare and prosperity. Please read this and think about these particular points again and again. It is exceedingly beautiful. Also, a particular definition of mind has been given here, which is, what is mind? Mind is essentially defined as the flow of thoughts. If we stop for a moment and think, yes, Jagdish?
Yeah, as bereft of thoughts, there is no mind. If we remove all the thoughts from the mind, what is left? Nothing is left. Therefore, the mind is defined as flow of thoughts. We will ponder on this, and the book itself speaks later on about this. It's exciting.
It's really, really exciting.
We have time.
Today, I would like to continue with chapter number 9, the path of perfection. The mind and intellect is the essence of human personality. The physical body, to repeat, is merely a garb worn by it. The quality and texture of mind and intellect equipment in us depend upon our inherent and innate tendencies or inclinations, which are called vasanas. Philosophy and religion serve as architects in molding and reshaping man's vasanas and thereby rehabilitating and adjusting his personality. The 5 sense organs are windows in the human structure through which the stimuli from the external world of objects reach us. The eyes take in the forms and colors, the ear receives the sounds, the nose the smell, and so on. The mind and intellect reacts to these stimuli and responds to them in the form of actions, which are executed by the 5 organs of action in the physical body. The continuous transaction of the receipt of stimuli and the corresponding responses echoing out of the human system constitute the traffic of light. Where and when this transaction has ended, life becomes extinct. Religion is like a friendly policeman who guides man through this traffic of life to reach the goal of a perfectly happy and successful life. The external world of objects is in a constant flux of change, depending upon the vicissitudes of nature. All living creatures are affected and victimized by these changes occurring in environments and circumstances. But man alone has the unique capacity to neutralize adverse stimuli reaching him and produce out of them responses which bring about harmony and melody in existence. This consummation is achieved by the wondrous equipment of mind and intellect. In order that we may maintain a healthy relationship with the world and not fall under the suzerainty and the exigencies of life, the maintenance of healthy and powerful mind and intellect is of utmost importance. This means that our emotions must be chaste and our intellectual discrimination subtle and clear.
We have time. We have time.
I will like to finish this chapter, so I continue ahead. In our experience in life, we find that we are what we are because of the caliber of mind and intellect equipment in us. If we are full of feelings of love, tenderness, and kindness, we are naturally loving and kind. But if the power of our discrimination is sharp and brilliant, we are bound to be brilliant. The environment and circumstances may be disagreeable and disturbing, but as long as our inner equipment is healthy and strong, none of them can influence or disturb our peace, stability, and tranquility. Such a man who stands erect and motionless like a towering lighthouse, unaffected by the surging waves which strike against it and die away. But when this subtle equipment is neglected or kept in disuse, the individual is like a neglected boat in the ocean of life, tossed hither and thither by the calamitous waves of challenges. The structure and composition of the individual mind and intellect are founded upon his own vasanas, which primarily determine the type of reactions and responses emanating from his person. Thus, when our vasanas or tendencies are dynamic, our thoughts and actions are dynamic and productive. But when they are dull and inert, our thoughts and actions are lifeless and unproductive. The entire personality and reconstruction, which provides the solution to man's progress, peace, and prosperity, therefore rests on the development of proper innate tendencies. Religion provides for such development by holding a mirror up to our nature and educating us on the realities of things. Thus, by purifying and reforming the vasanas, the mind and intellect get properly tuned up and perfected, and with such equipment, one is well armed to face any challenge in the world and to emerge victorious and ride over it. A nation is built by the individuals comprising it. When each individual in the society or nation puts forth his effort in the direction indicated in the scriptures and reconstitutes his personality, then that society or nation grows dynamically, permeating peace and glory to one and all. Let us therefore awake and arise and rebuild our nation and ourselves. I purposely went on with this chapter number 9 because it connects with chapter number 7 and 8. Our time for today is up, and we will discuss this tomorrow in the session where we are going to be able to see each other face to face and interact.
And the details have been given on the screen. If you see to the left hand side of the screen, there's a chat, live chat, where I have given all the details for tomorrow. If you read that, you will understand. But I'll take a minute, 30 seconds, and I'll just say that.
Yeah, sure.
So there is a link. Just copy that link and paste the link into the browser called Chrome browser. So you don't need to download any app or anything else. Once you paste it there and click, the meeting will start.
So we will meet again tomorrow at the same time, and let us end with a prayer.
But before that, so we need tomorrow the book and the questions.
Yes.
So kindly send the questions to me on the email given. I have given my email ID on the same chat. Kindly send me your questions by noon tomorrow so that we go through and we are prepared.
We discuss the same thing.
Anything else we are forgetting?
That's great. So let's meet tomorrow and end by a prayer.
Om Asito ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Krishna. Hari Om.